Hi, good morning. I welcome you all for one more session of chemistry. Dear student, in the last class we have completed how to calculate the percentage, and so I have given some assignment also regarding on that particular topic, and I got best response. Right. So if you want, you can calculate one more compound I will give. The class for the assignment for last class itself. Calculate the number two, right? Calculate the percentage of calculate the percentage of carbon, oxygen, and hydrogen in COO, carboxylic acid compound, right? COOH it is called, right? And try to send me, right? So these are very simple. You go through the formula. I have already given you, right? You just a percent of element. That means if you are calculating element as a carbon, means percentage of carbon is equal to mass of carbon divided by total mass of a compound into 100, right? So first you need to calculate the total mass of a compound. You first calculate the total mass of a compound, then definitely you can very easily calculate the percentage of compounds present in the given compound, right? Right. So with this, we will move towards the very important part again. Some, here in this chapter, we have more number of problems in the chemistry. So let us have one more part, that is what are empirical formula and molecular formula. Empirical formula. First, we will see what is empirical formula. Like as I said, the number of element. The elements, the relative number of elements present in any given compound is nothing but what? Empirical formula. So in the yesterday's class itself, I have given a small hint about it. So that means any compound, if they have given, then the relative numbers, that means what are the related elements to that compound, we have to write. That is nothing but what? Our empirical formula. If the given compound is HNO3, then they ask you to, if they ask you for the empirical formula, then the empirical formula will be, see, there are three different elements over here. So what are those? One is H, one is N, and one is O. So that means this becomes an empirical formula of this compound, right? So that means a relative number of elements, not total number, right? So relative number, if you want, you can take definition of this. So the relative number of the relative number of element, the relative number of element present in a compound, right? Present in a compound, present in a compound is nothing but what we can say, the empirical formula, right? So empirical, very very simple. That means here it becomes a whole number, right? So whole number means what are the elements? Different elements are present. If we represent those elements without their number, then it becomes what? Empirical formula, right? So next is molecular formula, right? Molecular formula. So what is molecular formula? We'll see. The actual number of elements present in a given compound. The actual number of element present in a compound. The actual number, right? The total number one we can see, right? The actual number of element present in a compound is nothing but what? molecular formula. So the molecular formula and empirical formula are very important to find out the compound name, right? Later we will have some problem also on these two, empirical formula and molecular formula. And now here, if we see some examples of molecular formula as well as the empirical formula, right? I hope you understood this. So now later after this, once we can have some examples, then you come to know very easily what is empirical and molecular formula. If you are unable to understand the definition, then when you can go for this name of compound, name of compound. You can take any examples, name of compound, then molecular formula, molecular formula, and one more is for empirical formula, empirical formula, right? So if the name of compound is what, benzene, right? Benzene means here the molecular formula benzene is already you know in the lower classes C6H6, right? C6H6. So now this is the complete actual number of elements present in a compound. But what about empirical formula? The relative number of elements. That means what are the how many number of different elements are present in the benzene? Only two. What are those? H and C. So thus our empirical formula becomes C and H or HC. Right? So now one more, water. You can take any examples. H2O. This is our molecular formula. What will be the empirical formula? Here also the same case, like benzene. There are two different elements, H and O. So thus here the empirical formula becomes HO. Right? So now ammonia. Already I have given this ammonia, NH3. Here also the same case, there are two different elements are present over here. So thus what are those? N and H. Understood? Next, carboxylic acid. Carboxylic acid. So carboxylic acid means COOH. So there are three different elements are present. Don't go for counting the numbers of O, right? While representing the empirical formula. So now here one different element, one more and one more, right? Like H. So there are three different elements. What are those in carboxylic acid? C, O, and H. This is our what? Empirical formula. Likewise, you can take a number of different compounds, and you can go for molecular formula as well as for the empirical formula, right? So this is how one we can justify about the molecular as well as the empirical formula. After seeing all these, again if you have doubt, please do ask, right? You people are always free to ask the doubts. So now some formulas are there on these two, right? We have to remember. So for these, based on empirical as well as the molecular formula, we have some problems, right? So molecular formula is nothing but molecular, right? You copy these things. Molecular formula is nothing but N into empirical formula, N into empirical formula, right? N into empirical formula. What is N then, right? So that means N, for N also we have one more formula. N is equal to molecular formula weight. Already they will give molecular formula. While solving the problem, when we can come to molecular formula weight divided by empirical formula weight. Molecular formula weight divided by empirical formula weight. So this is the overall idea about what molecular formula as well as the empirical formula. You just remember what is molecular formula and what is empirical formula. If they ask you to calculate molecular formula means we need to apply this formula, that is n into empirical formula, where n is nothing but molecular formula weight. If we divide it with the empirical formula weight, then we will get some number, and that number if we multiply with this, then definitely we can get the molecular formula. So for this we require some very important part, different charts. So that different chart I will discuss in the next class definitely. But now for now extend, you just go through, and now please you go through the books and don't forget to read these all things in book. Why? Because I'm going very little bit into the syllabus, right? I mean, I'm not going that much deep how I explain in the offline classes. So for that sake, you just go through depth into the syllabus. If you want to go into the depth, then definitely you must and should take a help of what? Our book, our reader, one we can say. So why? Because why I'm saying this is nothing but you people are having much and more time to read the books. Why? Because if once the offline classes start, then we will put more pressure on you. By daily we will complete nearly 4 to 5 concepts. This is not only the chemistry case. You think about PCMB, so that means the pressure will be put on you more and more while offline classes. So in that case, you won't get that much of time to read the reader or book. So that's why now it is the best time. Utilize it and go through the book. Definitely you will get more and more information, sure, and you will get doubt also, right? So if any doubt comes, please do ask. Why? Because until and unless if you won't go for study book, then definitely you will be not having a single doubt also, right? So this is my request. You go through it. Definitely you will come to know everything, right? Thank you.